In this video, we're going to take a look at mixed numbers and improper fractions. So to begin with here, let's just give an example of a mixed number and an improper fraction. So for a mixed number then, let's say we've got 3.5. So the clue is kind of in the name, it's a mixed number. We have a whole number here, an integer, and a fraction together. Like we said, this is a mixed number. Let's just jot this down here. A mixed number. And then for an improper fraction here, let's say we've got 7/2. This is an improper fraction. What you'll notice here with the improper fraction is the numerator is larger in value than my denominator. So 7 is greater than 2. This would be an example of an improper fraction. So for an improper fraction, you might also hear it sometimes referred to as a top-heavy fraction. They are the same thing, but we tend to call it just an improper fraction. Okay, that's a more formal name for it. So what you need to be able to do here as a GCSE math student is be able to convert from a mixed number to an improper fraction, and then the reverse of that, going from an improper fraction to a mixed number. So let's start with this mixed number here of 3.5. How do I now convert this here to an improper fraction? What we do is we take the whole number here, the 3, and we times that by the denominator here of the fraction. We do 3 times 2. What I then do is I add on my numerator here. We add the 1 on. And what I do now is I divide here by the same denominator. If my denominator here is 2, that means we divide this fraction here by 2. Okay? So just using BIDMAS here, do the brackets first. So 3 times 2 is 6. I'm going to get 6 plus 1. And that's all divided by 2. And then evaluate this addition here. So 6 plus 1 is 7. So we get 7/2 there. Okay, and notice this is an improper fraction because 7 is larger in value than 2. Okay. So how do we now go backwards here? So how do we go from an improper fraction to a mixed number? Well, let's use this example here. So if I've got 7/2. I've got 7/2 here. And I now want to turn this into a mixed number. Well, the first thing that I do here is I check how many times does my denominator go into my numerator. So how many times does 2 go into 7? I've got 2, 4, 6. That means it goes in 3 times. The whole number here will be 3. So 2 times 3 was 6. So what's the remainder here? Well, that means the remainder must be 1. What do you add to 6 to get to 7? Like we said, that would be 1. And then my denominator here stays the same. Okay, so we keep this denominator of 2 here. We put that in the same for our fraction there. Okay, so let's just do a couple more examples here. So let's say I've got 14/3. I've got 14/3. And I want to write this here as a mixed number. Again, I check how many times does 3 go into 14. I've got 3, 6, 9, 12. That means the whole number here will be 4. So 4 times 3 is 12. So that means my remainder now will be 2. What do I add to 12 to get to 14? Well, that's 2. And we keep the same denominator. Okay, so I get 4 and 2/3 there. Okay, like you can see, the process is hopefully nice and straightforward. So let's say I've got another mixed number here. Let's say I've got 5 3/4. So 5 3/4 here. I want to change this mixed number here now to an improper fraction. Then we take the whole number here, the 5, times it by the denominator of this fraction. So 5 times 4. We then add on the numerator here, so plus 3. And then we divide by this denominator here. So now we evaluate this here. 5 times 4 is 20. Plus the 3. We get 20 plus 3 in my numerator. Divide that by 4. And then if we evaluate this here, we're going to get 23/4 there. Okay. And there we have it. So 5 3/4 is the same as 23/4 there. Okay. So like I said, hopefully the process of going from a mixed number to an improper fraction and then going from an improper fraction to a mixed number is hopefully nice and straightforward. But like I said, what we're going to do now is just going to run through a few more examples. So let's get started here. Take a look at some practice questions for mixed numbers and improper fractions. Starting off with question 1 now, all I want to do here is convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions. So to begin with here for part A, we've got 3 1/5. Remember, to go from a mixed number here to an improper fraction, all we do is we take the whole number here, the integer, and we times that by the denominator of the fraction. So 3 times 5, that would be 15. What we do then is we add on the numerator here. Remember, this is the remainder, so 15 plus 1. And we divide here by the same denominator. So we divide by 5. So 15 plus 1, that would give me 16. Our denominator stays the same, so we get 16 over 5 there. Okay, so that's the solution to A. Moving on to B now, we've got 4 and 3/5. So 4 and 3/5 here. So again, we take the whole number, the integer, we times it by the denominator of the fraction. So 4 times 5 would be 20. We then add on the numerator here, which is our remainder. We've got 20 plus 3. Then our denominator here will be the same as this fraction. So it's going to be 20 plus 3 all over 5. So 20 plus 3, that would give me 23. So what we get here is simply 23 over 5. Okay, so that's the solution to B. And then finally, if we take a look now at C here, we've got 1 and 3 over 7. So again, we start with the integer here, the whole number, times that by the denominator. So 1 times 7 is 7, plus the remainder here. So I've got 7 plus 3 is my numerator. And we divide this here by the same denominator. Put the 7 in like that. If we just simplify the numerator now, 7 plus 3 is 10. We get 10 over 7 there. Okay, so that's the solution to A, B, and C there. So that's the solution to question 1. So if we take a look here at question 2, we're asked to write the following improper fractions as mixed numbers. So we begin with part A then. We've got 9 over 5. So the first thing that I do here, we check how many times does 5 go into 9. Well, that will go in 1 time with a remainder. So the 1 here is the whole number. So now what's the remainder here? Well, it went in 1 time. That takes us to 5. What do I now need to add to 5 to get to 9? Well, that would be 4. So the remainder here is 4. And then for my denominator here, we just keep the same denominator. So it's going to be 1 and 4/5 there. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the solution to A. Moving on to B now. We've got 20 over 7. 20 over 7 here. So again, what I do now is I check how many times does 7 go into 20. Well, that will go in 2 times with a remainder. So 2 here is the whole number. So now, 2 times 7 would be 14. What do I add to 14 to get to 20? Well, that must be 6. And again, my denominator here is the same as this denominator. So we get 2 and 6 over 7. That's the solution to B. And then finally for C here, we've got 12 over 5. So 12 over 5 here. So again, how many times does 5 go into 12? Well, that will go in 2 times with a remainder. So 2 here is my whole number again. So 2 times 5 is 10. What do we add to 10 to get to 12? Well, that must be 2. My remainder here is 2. Again, just keep the same denominator. So we get 2 and 2/5 there. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the solution to C. And that's the solution to question 2. And finally, to finish with here then, if we take a look now at the very last question, question 3, we're asked to evaluate 3 and 2/3 times 1/5. Let's just write this down over here. 3 and 2/3 times 1 over 5. When we're working with something like this where we've got a mixed number times another fraction, what we need to do is turn this mixed number here into an improper fraction. So let's turn this mixed number here into an improper fraction. So we do 3 times 3, which is 9, plus the 2 here, the numerator, so that would give us 11. And then we keep the same denominator. So we get 11 over 3. Now we times this by 1 over 5. Okay, so this is the same thing here. These are equal. But rather than writing this a mixed number here like we did to begin with, I want to turn that into an improper fraction. Now that we turn it into an improper fraction, we can easily find this product here. Okay. So to multiply fractions together, remember we just multiply the numerators together. That would be 11 times 1 in the numerator. We just repeat this here with the denominator, so we do 3 times 5. So 3 times 5. So 11 times 1, that would simply give us 11. And 3 times 5 would give us 15 there. We get 11 over 15. And there we have it. So that's the solution to question 3. And that brings the end of this video on mixed numbers and improper fractions. So in the next video, what we're going to do, we're going to take a look at exam revision for fractions.